Everyone, welcome to today's Lean Publishing Tip of the Day live stream. Today we're talking about something that all authors kind of face when they start writing books, and that is finding their optimal writing process. I'll just share the blog post with you here that you can find on our website at leanpub.com/blog. You can also get these tips of the day, as I always say, if you sign up for the Lean Publishing Daily newsletter, which you can do in the link on the blog. And you can do after you buy a book on LeanPub and in various other places. But if you want to get these email reminders every day and have them in your inbox so you can go through them and just sort of spend a few minutes sort of optimizing your writing process and things like that, I definitely recommend that you subscribe to the Lean Publishing Daily newsletter. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can see these live streams and on a playlist, sort of going back. This is our fifth, but there will eventually be many of these for you to watch casually whenever you feel like it, or you have the time to sort of think about your writing process at a kind of meta level. Anyway, so finding your optimal writing process is a thing that writers have faced for millennia, literally. There was an old kind of rhetorician named Quintilian, I believe, who wrote about how he loved writing at night. When everyone else was asleep and no one could bother him. Something about like writing by candlelight was the best way of writing for him. I think it's Toni Morrison, the Nobel Prize winning novelist, was famous, or not famous, but it was well known that her process was to get up like very early in the day to essentially achieve the same goal, which was not to be bothered by other people. So there are actually quite a few, I think, very successful, I think mostly fiction authors, I associate this tactic with anyway, or strategy with getting up very early and writing then. One of the great things about writing early, and I'm not a morning person myself, but if you are, one of the great things about doing your writing early in the day is that you actually get this sense of accomplishment for the rest of the day. You sort of get your kind of primary work done, and then you can go out into the day kind of feeling confident that you've already got this kind of foundation of productive activity behind you. So writing in the morning is really good. The main thing that I talk about in the blog post, though, is that it's going to be unique to you, and so you can get all the advice in the world, but actually, what the only advice that applies to everybody is it's going to be up to you to find your optimal writing process. And what that means is don't feel bad if you don't figure it out right away. You might want to try different things. You might try this approach and that won't work for you. Try another approach that won't work for you. And one of the reasons it's unique is not just a matter of personality. It's a matter of where you are in your life and your career and your family obligations and things like that. I had a special guest on the podcast a couple of years ago who was a New York Times bestselling author, and she had this amazing story about how her success came to her as a surprise as a writer. And when she sort of realized she could make money writing, she sort of approached it like a job. And she had a home office, but she also had some very young children. And if her children knew she was in the office, no matter how much she said, don't bug mommy when she's writing, they couldn't help it, which is quite normal for kids. They love their mom, they want to see her, and things like that. So what she did, but she couldn't at that point. She wasn't kind of successful enough to afford an office elsewhere or something like that. So what she would do is she would get dressed up like she was going to an office. She would have a babysitter and she would say goodbye to her kids, and she would go out the front door, and then she would go around the back of the house and go in the window to get into her home office and to be quiet. So if her kids thought she was out of the house, they wouldn't think to go into the office and bother her. So that was her way of finding some time alone, unbothered to write. The interesting thing about finding an optimal writing process is, so far I've been talking about ways of avoiding being bothered, but there's people who absolutely love writing in loud, noisy places full of people, like cafes and stuff like that. And I'm sure there are authors who actually don't mind being interrupted when they write as well. There's something kind of quite compelling about putting on your headphones and being in a place full of people, but actually being able to kind of zone in and focus on your work. There are other people who, because that's the way they like to do it, or just because they have no other choice, they write whenever they have the time. They might be very busy, and so it could be if they've got a train commute, that's when they'll write. It could be when everybody's gone to bed, or when everybody's not up yet, and they just sort of they just happen to be around. and then they write. Um, uh, there are people who plan their writing out. I haven't encountered too many authors like that myself, but there'll be people who are like, they've got their chapters all planned in advance. I'm a big, outlining fan. So, but I wouldn't schedule kind of times to write, like, I'm going to write these paragraphs this day and these paragraphs this day and at this time. But I'm sure there are people who kind of calendar time like that. Yeah. And one of the biggest challenges, it's sort of similar with writing. I mean, with any other kind of thing you're going to do regularly, that's going to improve your life, you're going to find that the people around you are often, might sound cynical, but like the people around you are the biggest obstacle. They're going to say to you, there's always going to be people in your life who are going to say, oh, why don't you just skip it today? It's kind of like going to the gym or working out or something, that, why don't you just skip that today? And that can actually be the hardest thing to do, is to sort of like say to people, no, like, this is actually, my writing time is very important to me. Uh, and I'm going to do it. It's my scheduled time. That's when I'm going to do it. So actually kind of explicitly kind of negotiating with the people in your life about writing time is actually, don't be surprised or feel like you failed or they're bad people or something like that if you have to do that. That's actually a normal part of like making writing a part of your life, is kind of, it's negotiating with and communicating with the people around you about the fact that you're going to be writing now, and that's going to be a part of your, maybe not necessarily every day, but it's going to be a part of your life going forward. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. It's again, that the key thing about when you decide you want to write books, or you want to write blog posts, be a blogger or an influencer or anything like that, is that you need to sort of understand that it's going to be a journey to finding your best way of doing things. You're not going to get it right the first time, probably. Don't feel bad about that, but keep iterating. And one thing I should mention as well, when it comes to kind of things like writing, and integrating after you've published the first version of your book, or you've published your completed book, marketing your book is going to be something that becomes a part of your life as well. A really important thing is that you enjoy it, that you find a process that you like. If you don't like doing certain kinds of things, you might want to sort of find ways of not doing them. That might not be the right thing for you. Of course, like in any kind of mature professional life, there are going to be things that you do that you don't enjoy, but trying to make enjoyment a part of your process is actually really key to succeeding in the long term and completing your projects. All right, that's today's Lean Publishing tip of the day about finding your optimal writing process. If you like this live stream, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us wherever you find us on social media. It's a great way of keeping up with the latest Lean Pub news and publishing tips and new releases and stuff. But at the same time, it's also a great way of supporting people, because the more people subscribe to our YouTube channel, the more our authors get discovered by people like them. So please go subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. And thank you very much for watching this video. Have a great weekend.